Welcome to the Conscious Classroom podcast, where we're exploring tools and perspectives that support educators and anyone who works with teams to create more conscious, supportive, and enriching learning environments. I'm your host, Amy Edelstein, and I'll be sharing transformative insights and easy-to-implement classroom supports that are all drawn from mindful awareness and systems thinking. The themes we'll discuss are designed to improve your own joy and fulfillment in your work and increase your impact on the world we share. Let's get on with this next episode. Welcome. We're going to have a great session. I really wanted to talk about patience and acceptance today, and we'll do some practices for that as well. We're certainly needing to have a lot of patience with ourselves and with just the situation that we find ourselves in. How are we managing the situation, the uncertainty, the needing to build the tracks as the train is driving off the cliff, all of those things. How are we in any regular school year? This time of year, you start the march towards graduation. You start the march towards the end of the year. And we're working with students, getting them to do their best, pushing them if they've fallen back, encouraging them, praising them, really preparing them to take that leap. They're moving into that maturation phase for this grade level. And in the middle of it, we've had this hiatus of school and classes. And now all of a sudden, the students are being pulled back from disconnection into connection, trying to get them to show up to virtual classes, communicate with teachers, trying to get teachers to learn how to use digital medium. And it's really very hard to do our jobs really well, and also to be patient with ourselves, because everything takes time to learn. Everything takes time to learn. Moving to Google Classroom was a big deal, where you had to post homework, but you were at least going to see them every day. So if something didn't go right, they were going to let you know in person. And now you might not hear from them again because they didn't get what you posted, or it didn't upload, and then everything becomes a challenge. And when I was thinking about, well, what do we want to talk about today? And I really felt that cultivating patience and acceptance is really important, because this is going to empower you to be steady and to be in an appropriate way detached, because we need to develop our own stability and resilience and good cheer and positivity and adulthood, knowing that we are going to come through this. Yes, the world is going to change, but humanity has faced all kinds of terrible crises. The changes have not always been for the best. I'm not a Pollyanna in that way, but if we're going to make the changes as positive and forward-looking as the potential is for them to be, then we need to be somewhat detached from the constant daily churn. We just really cannot keep being pulled by everything that's not going well. We just won't survive. We'll lose our enthusiasm, we'll lose our inspiration. Really what I've seen the students want is they want connection. They want to see each other, and they miss their teachers. So yesterday, I think it was or Monday, it was a really great session. So after trying some online classes at a few schools, which either nobody showed up or 3 kids showed up and were not that interested, we had classes at Central and invited all the juniors in health. We had 250 kids online, and at least another 100 tried to get on, and they couldn't because the max is 250. And I'll tell you, the energy was just exploding off the chat. To be honest, I actually need an interpreter to explain to me what the students were chatting to each other. And maybe I won't really want to know what a lot of those acronyms stand for. But they were so excited, and they saw their teachers, and they were saying hello to their teachers in a very vernacular way. And it was just so delightful. You just felt the enthusiasm of, instead of connecting with one or two friends that they're used to being in touch with, of just being able to really, just see their junior class en masse and be able to be with each other, not the ones they like and the ones they know, but just everyone. And you felt this is the spirit of high school. It's the spirit of adolescence. It's the spirit that we want to bring back. And we'll find creative ways to do that. And to be honest, it doesn't matter if our teaching isn't perfect or our connections with colleges aren't the best. If we can create environments where students can meet up with each other and that we can facilitate that, and if we can create environments where just that human spirit is allowed to be rough and ready as it is, then we're doing what we need to be doing right now. And we really do need to be patient with all of the other specifics. And I can imagine, I don't know for sure, but I can imagine that you're getting all kinds of direction and instruction from the district, and they're telling you need to do that, and you need to do the other thing, and you can't do this, and the very thing that you want to do, you're not supposed to do, and the very thing you don't want to do and you don't think is going to work is what you're supposed to do, and you're being pulled different ways. You just have to be easy with it. You just have to be easy with it and patient with it, and allow yourself to rest in what is going to be relaxing and restorative and rejuvenating for yourself, so you can be there to host the students and the fun when it appears, and that you're not too stuck behind what isn't working to be able to be there for that moment. Why don't we just start with a little bit of movement, and we'll be doing some mindfulness practices afterwards. And however you're sitting, let's start with the feet, and take one foot and do some ankle rolls, rolling clockwise with one foot and then counterclockwise. When we sit for too long, fluids build up in the ankles, the blood doesn't flow as well, our toes don't get the circulation they need. Usually, if we're a teacher, administrator, or staff in a school, we're walking up and down the halls all the time. You're constantly jumping up for this and jumping up for that, or you're standing and moving. And now all of a sudden we're glued to our screens. Like, help. So let's give our feet and flex them. Flex that one and pull the toes back towards you. Flex again and pull the toes back towards you. And let's take the other foot and do some ankle circles clockwise. And then again, counterclockwise. Feeling the cracks. When we do rotations like this, and when you're standing, you can do them with your whole body, ankles, knees, hips, torso, neck. What we do is we're lubricating the joints with what's called synovial fluid. And that synovial fluid helps our joints work properly. It lubricates them, helps prevent arthritis. And flex the foot and pull your toes towards your knee. Flex your foot again. Pull your toes towards your knee. Now set both feet on the floor and notice how they feel. See if they feel a little bit more energized Yeah, a little happier. Mine do too. And let's do the same with our hands. We can take both hands at once and do some circles, really allowing our wrists to be lubricated. You can feel if you really like extend that circle, you start to feel it in your forearms and your elbows. And let's go the other way. Mine are cracking. Yeah. And let's gently push your fingers down, stretching your wrist and bending your fingers back. And again, down. Not too hard, so it's uncomfortable. Just that little bit of stretch and back again. And the other hand. Down and back. And stretch down. And stretch back. Good. You can just shake them out and see how they feel. And don't drop your lunch. You're shaking your hands. And let's do some shoulder rolls. I should do these every hour. I'll tell you, I really need these. So mine are popping and cracking, and let's reverse direction. You'll notice one direction, forward or back, may be harder for you. You may be feeling it in your neck also, which is interesting. Good. And scrunch your shoulders up to your ears and drop them. And up to your ears and drop them. And then let's do some neck rolls. Drop your left ear to your left shoulder, actually, whichever one you want, and roll backwards to the side. These hurt. Be gentle. Our necks they're an incredible part of the body. There's so many small vertebrae in that narrow column. And it holds our head, the command center of our body and our minds. And we really want to remember to protect our necks and to nourish them with some gentle movement and some ease. And let's go the other direction. Yeah, and if you want to, if you often find yourself having headaches or feeling very irritable when you haven't moved, there are two things I'd recommend right away. And one is notice how much water you're drinking, how much you're hydrating. And the other is remembering to massage your neck gently or rotate it like this. And we can look over your right shoulder. Don't stretch too much. So look over your left. Sorry. And look over your left shoulder. And your right shoulder. And then drop. Yeah. Great. And just sit steady. Just notice how you feel. If you need to stretch your back at all. I think we might need to stretch our back. Why don't we clasp your hands, lift them over your head, and look up and stretch backwards a little bit. And look forward and then stretch to the right or left and stretch the opposite way. And back again. Another side. Bring your hands down and we'll just close with a short twist. So putting your right hand across your left knee and allowing your body to twist like you're wringing out a wash rag. Just wringing out your spine. Seeing if you can twist each vertebrae independently so they're not locked as a whole, but they're moving independently. And we'll go to the other side. And when you get to your full twist where you feel that your spine is curling like a corkscrew, breathe into your spine and send the breath into the vertebrae. So, what we have is we have that challenge of learning so much. And the reason why I felt like mindfulness is a good tool and connection with this is because mindfulness, when we're practicing mindful awareness, whether it's in a formal practice where we're seated and paying attention, or whether it's in our day-to-day moving about, but we're keeping both feet really grounded in awareness and attention and not knowing, even while we're engaging our minds and we're doing what we're doing and interacting and planning and teaching and whatever we're doing, building websites, learning how to do video conferences, all of the other crazy things we never thought we'd have to do. But practicing mindfulness really teaches us to be with things as they are, not out of passive acceptance or resignation, but really because that is the way things are. That's what's happening. Hi, welcome. Learning to be with the way things are enables us to be on solid ground. So right now, the way things are is chaotic, it's uncertain, it's filled with potential, it's also filled with grief and loss. We see a lot of suffering. We see suffering that was there before, that was hidden before, and now the suffering's exaggerated. So you wonder, why would I want to be aware of that even more so? With mindful awareness practice, we're not telescoping in. We're not taking a microscope and telescoping in this very narrow way. We're being with things as they are, being with things the way they are, means that we're not fighting against reality. Because when we're fighting against reality, we're fighting a losing battle, because reality is the way it is. So what mindfulness helps us do is it helps us learn to be present and to be able to expand the context or shift our focus, shift the lens that we're looking through, so it isn't so overwhelming. It always feels like it's really hard to be with things as they are until we do it and we say, oh, this is a lot easier. It's like, when you were a kid and you had to pull the Band-Aid off yourself, and you try to do it really slowly and it hurts bit by bit by bit by bit because you don't have the courage to do it quickly yourself. So when you're 4 or 5, you go to your parent or your older brother and sister, you say, will you take my Band-Aid off and rip it off really fast because you just want to deal with it. And mindfulness helps us do that. It helps us take away our resistance to being with things as they are, so that we can be patient with ourselves, with the situation, and that patience fills us with energy. Fighting against reality depletes our energy. It makes us feel, first of all, it's futile. We can't fight reality. So it makes us feel like we're always losing. And if we're always losing, then we feel like, why bother try? Because this isn't going to work. And of course, it's not going to work because you can't fight reality. So what mindful awareness allows us to do is it really allows us to be in a posture that is self-protective. It's not arbitrarily opening us up to the floodgates of intensity, but it's also allowing us to be on solid ground because we're not fighting with reality as it is. So let's do a guided meditation. And in the guided meditation, we'll do a basic breath meditation. But my focus in the instructions is going to be really on accepting things as they are with the intention of cultivating patience. And great. Yes, toddler nap time. We're balancing so many things. So allow yourself to be comfortable. Sit where you're alert but relaxed. And you can close your eyes for this if you'd like. I usually like that. And just allow yourself to rest and be patient, be easy. We'll use the bell to focus, and we'll start with just allowing the sound to carry us, putting your attention on the sound. And as you sit, begin to notice your breath in the way that it goes in and oxygenates your entire torso. You feel it pass through your nostrils. You feel your chest gently expanding and contracting. You feel your stomach and rib cage opening up just a little bit, creating just a little bit more room for the air, for the freshly oxygenated air to nourish us. Just noticing the breath going in and noticing your entire torso, just like a gentle wave. Just those little waves at the beach, not the ones that crash down, but just those little ones that come up and they just sort of scamper up the shore and then flow back into the ocean. Just notice the breath going in. Notice the torso expanding, and notice the breath receding. And now let's expand our awareness just a little bit, moving our awareness into our whole body, and letting the whole body enter the field of our awareness. Notice let your attention move from the top of your head, slowly down your face, and the back of your head. Mentally just letting your attention go to your scalp and letting your scalp just relax, have a little more space, a little more give. So all the skin is not so taut. We're not carrying so much tightness in the face and the head. Let your attention roll down so that you're noticing the length of your neck. And you're scanning your whole torso and your arms and your fingers and hands. Rolling down over your legs and knees and shins and feet. And on your next breaths, let's use the breath to just relax and ever so slightly expand the sense of space in our whole bodies. Making a little bit more room for what is. And now let's expand even more spatially, using our sense store of hearing, and take in the room that you're in and any sounds or silence in the room that you're in right now. Maybe there's a brief reprieve from activity as your toddler falls asleep. Or maybe there's a lot of commotion at this moment. Just take in the room that you're in and any sounds within the room. And now expand the sounds that you're taking in so that you're listening for, but not forcing yourself. We're not trying to expand our hearing. We're just noticing what's there, what naturally crosses our field of awareness, noticing the sounds outside the building we're in. And maybe right now you can't hear any, or maybe right now there's noise and commotion. whatever sounds you can take in that are outside the building. And now turn your attention away from those sounds and imagine that you could listen to sounds that were far, far in the distance. Resting your attention as if you could hear sounds from 100 miles away. Still letting your breath be calm, gently rocking your torso with its each inhalation and exhalation. And now with this space that you've created, with that ability to shift your attention, to expand the sphere of activity you're paying attention to, from your breath to your body, to the room you find yourself in, to the neighborhood, to as far as the horizon. Notice that what's constant is your own attention. You activated your own awareness equally, whether you were noticing sensation nearby or far away. And you were directing your attention in ways that allow you to create a sense of space and a sense of calm. That ability to create space enables us to be with what is. It enables us to hold room for the sadness and to hold room for exuberance and possibility. And to be steady and secure and content in ourselves. And when you hear the bell, we'll bring this practice to a close and bring your awareness back. When we're feeling very uncomfortable and when we're feeling like we are at our wits' end, which happens fairly regularly these days, sometimes instigated by something external, and sometimes just because stress accumulates, or sometimes because you turn on the television, you go, I haven't watched the news for 3 days and they're still shouting about the same things. Is this really helping us as a culture? Is this really helping us get anywhere? Are we seeing the big picture? As we start engaging more with students more directly, now that everyone has Chromebooks and they're supposed to be going to class, and we're trying to motivate them to get going again, we're going to often feel like a broken record, reaching out, getting rebuffed, reaching out, encouraging a student, reaching out, finding that student hasn't done anything, reaching out to the district, getting told one thing, getting told another thing, doing something, getting criticized for it, getting criticized for the very thing that seemed to work the best, all of those just general frustrations. And we can't let those rule our day, and we can't let those be the definer of the context. We can't let the external define our inner context. We have to allow ourselves to focus and keep creating space so that we're solid, and then within that solidity, we have to deal with everything. It really does make a difference. It really does allow us to roll with things, to remember that people may not be the most skillful communicators, but they're also equally under stress. And maybe we don't know the whole picture. Maybe they're not telling us the whole picture. Maybe they've got information that we don't know about, and they're trying to process it, and they're doing the best they can. Some people are doing a poor job. Some people are doing a better job. Some people are better in emergencies. Everyone said Churchill was a great wartime leader, but he was a terrible peacetime leader. He was just horrendous. But he was a great wartime leader. And we have that in our own lives. And each one of us may be better under stressful situations or under easeful situations. Use the time to actually enjoy. Part of this, again, in terms of mindfulness, is being mindful about what we're doing. Not just going for a walk and rethinking what you just watched on the news and how you're angry about this, that, and the other thing, and how you're worried about this one and the other one, but really be outside. Notice the walk, notice the air, notice the birds, notice what's different. Notice the rainbow pictures in people's windows. Be present, because we're living through history right now. And taking it all in as it is a really interesting thing, because we're the ones who are going to be reshaping the world on the other side of this. And we need to take it all in. It's almost like it's like a visceral gestalt of the surroundings. So being very present with cooking, and what you're making and shopping and what you're noticing about that, the connection with the kids that you're teaching to cook, the connection with the young adults, being present, being intentional, being available for it is part of what both nourishes us and gives us stability, because that's what mindful awareness does. But it also, it's like opening the pores of our perception so that we're aware of what is happening, and we're able then to synthesize what's going on. So are all of you counselors? No, I mean, well, besides Tracy, yeah. But are the rest of you counselors? Yeah. So you are virtual museums, yeah. So you're going to be guiding students moving forward. You're going to be guiding them in how to relate to this And the most important thing you can guide them to is to really guide them towards their higher potentials and their capacities. And you're going to be able to do that the more you open up your own perception and that you're really with what is, because you're going to be able to be with them. You're also going to have a bigger context. You're going to have a sense of what's opening in culture and what's closing. You can have a sense of what the fears are, so that if you hear those fears coming out of your students, you can calm them down, because we pick up societal fear. We just pick it up and it becomes contagious, but it's not necessarily the only way to look at it. So you're going to want to be strong for your students in times of uncertainty. And if you're guiding a school, you also need to do that. Or if you're trying to be ballast for the leaders of your school who are overwhelmed and freaking out, you're also going to have to do that. Providing that calm, which comes from awareness. It really does come from that patience with not trying to force solutions, but to be able to discern what's the appropriate next step. And that appropriate next step might be pushing the kids who are not willing to make the effort to graduate, or it may be calling on another resource to send your kids to some nonprofit that they might relate to more, who can, inspire them, or, with the possible. And, what happens is we start to feel like we need to be the yellow pages for everything. I know yellow pages is an old metaphor, but I think in this company I can still use it. We think we need to provide all the solutions. But what happens when we're open and aware in that way, we only need to come up with one right next step for a student. So resist the temptation to overwhelm yourself with needing to become the resource directory for everything under the sun. And remember that your humanity and your relationships with either your colleagues, the district, or the students is going to be what the quality of that relationship is going to be what helps people get through this the most easily. And in all the studies they've done of large-scale cultural trauma, the tsunamis, hurricanes, big natural disasters that's nobody's fault. The quality of relationships is what helps people move through with the least amount of fragmentation of self. So that's what we want to do. So we'll finish with a love and kindness. So let's bring somebody particular whom we really care about to mind, somebody we want to send good wishes to. And let's send them, this wish. May you be healthy and have ease. May you be supported and free from fear. May you be without lack or need. And may you experience that you're surrounded by love and kindness. Really sending that individual those wishes. And let's send ourselves these wishes, really picturing yourself and allowing yourself to receive good wishes. May I be patient and easy. May I be flexible and open. May I see the small bits of progress as bright lights. And may I be surrounded by love and kindness. May I be patient and full of ease. May I be flexible and open. May I see small signs of progress as brilliant, bright lights. And may I be surrounded by support, love, and kindness. And you can begin to bring your attention back. And when you hear the bell, we can finish. Thank you for listening to The Conscious Classroom. I'm your host, Amy Edelstein. Please check out the show notes on innerstrengthfoundation.net for links and more information. And if you enjoyed this podcast, please share it with a friend and pass the love on. See you next time.